Hello, peoples of the internet, and welcome to this video where today I will be attempting to create a American luxury boat type of vehicle, but from the late 90s, because I find it to be a very interesting time in vehicles. It was kind of a time of change. Now, it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. In the late 90s, American cars were no longer the massive things they had been. I do want some size to it, though. This one seems maybe a bit bigger than I would ideally like. It seems like, from what I'm seeing here, this is a Saab body, but it does seem to provide the right kind of dimensions and such that I'm looking for. Now, I'll throw a setup on here, and then I'll compare it to a few cars of the era to see, how I'm running. But it isn't going to be body on frame. I have been building the BCC Chariot, as you've seen, in an older video, and that had actually got body on frame, but this is a modernisation, so it's going to be a unitary construction, and we're probably not going to be using anything too fancy. I think partial aluminium, it is a more premium car, so maybe an aluminium bonnet is not going to be too much to ask. We'll also go with, we could go with 4-corner independent suspension. Wouldn't that be something? Let's go trailing arm, though, for the time being. Although, it's hard to say. I don't think 4-corner independent would be on a car like this, but we could have trailing arm. We'll go with a new engine, 1997, remember. And what do we want? A V6, but a 60-degree V6, because we're fitting this transversely. Have I put it longitudinally? Yeah, I have. I should have had this in transversely. I could go with rear longitudinal, but it doesn't really match the era and the kind of country this is coming from, being a more American boat of a thing. It's interesting where we go here, because I think we should go with a aluminium head, 4-valve per cylinder, twin cam technically, although it's a V6, so it's a single overhead cam per cylinder bank, and it gives us a good number of valves. The weight is maybe going to be a bit higher than I would ideally like, but still, it'll work. How much space have we got? We've got a lot of space to work with, so we can go very, very, very bias on the bore, which will give us a nice amount of revability, if that's even a term. I think, did I say 3.5 litres? That's what I'm going to target. The bigger side of 3.5 litres, but still. VVL or no VVL? I don't think we'll need it. We'll go cast, low friction cast, because it gives us better efficiency. VVT. You know what? Maybe we should know. My mind is conflicted on VVL, actually. We don't want a turbocharger. That is not something of the era. We'll go with multi-point injection. There's not really an excuse in this time period. Multi-point injection is perfectly feasible on a new car. We'll go lower that. Let's see where we bring this to. If it lets me finish it off, though. We need regular fuel. I do like that intake. I think it looks quite good. It's nothing fancy, but We'll go tubular. Short cast looks like it's naturally a cast exhaust. That looks more like it's aluminium or something, so it fits better. Freeway, perhaps, because we're not building a performance engine here. So we've got to try and get the balance correct. And it explodes. It doesn't even go. But it'll rev to 7,200 before things go wrong, so that's something that's good to know. 5,900 RPM at the minute. Let's see, if I can rev it to, say, I don't know, if I can rev it to like 6,500, that should be good enough. You know, this power is really maybe not so good, but it makes enough power. Especially if I can get about 190. It's a big engine, yes, and by European standards, a 3.5 litre engine, even back then, making this kind of power would not be so impressive. But it makes what we need. Should I go with dual exhaust? I don't think we'll need it, actually. I did not think it would fly up like that for power, so that's something I can probably lower the RPM then and still get a fair old amount of power. We need about 200, I think, to get something properly impressive for the time period. So if I go, push it down to 205, there we're making the power that I said I wanted. A bit more even than that. And we are also... maybe lowering where RPM. Where RPM? The RPM. I can't put my words together today. Anyway. This should give us a good performance index and a low peak RPM. So you'll see max RPM 6500. We've still got 7,000 RPM, not 7,000, sorry, 700 RPM below what it could do before blowing up. So that's good. I meant to adjust that exhaust, yes, because indeed now I can make it smaller. Now I've kind of lowered the performance of the engine to match a more road-going engine system. I don't know. 206 horsepower. It's good. The thing is, this is a cruiser engine, remember, and it still is, in this form, making more power, I believe. It's either making more or very similar amount of power to the BCC Chariot from the early 90s. Yes, it's not the same as that. The BCC Chariot, in my own kind of lore, is still being manufactured in 1997, but this is like... them experimenting. Although this is going to be BML, I think. Beam Mediocre Luxury. Because there's BCC, which is Beam Car Company, BLC, which is Beam Luxury Cars, and then this is going to be Beam Mediocre Luxury, which is to say, is basically the Buick of cars. As far as my lore goes, we're going to hopefully come up with a name. Three-legged chair? No. It's not a Reliant Robin, so three-legged chair isn't quite going to work. How many doors? It should be a 4-door, I reckon. What are the various differences here? I wonder. We can have a pickup truck. No. I mean, there's two bodies here, but I can't discern what the difference is. So we've got... that and that. Seat rows 2. I really can't see a difference between them. At all. I mean... maybe it's mind-blowingly obvious and I'm missing it. I'm just going to go with the first one. I don't know anything like that, but that's all I can do. I think this kind of lighter blue. Reduce the flake. We want some flake. Medium flake and medium shine. I think that doesn't look amazing or anything, but it looks reasonable. As I say, it's a Saab body. It isn't a American body. So Wait a minute, can I adjust the things on that? No, I can't. I can't really adjust it. I can make it a bit longer at the back. Not sure why I would need to do that though, since it's front wheel drive. Maybe make it a bit shorter at the front. Make it easier to park, I guess. Yeah. It's a transverse engine though, so if the engine hangs over the front, there's a reason to make that so long. It just doesn't have to be ridiculously long. But then you don't want it to be too long, because otherwise it makes it too front heavy. You don't want it to be too short, or it doesn't really leave enough space for the engine, at least in reality. We can go with all-wheel drive, but again, I don't think an American kind of boaty car of this time period would have all-wheel drive, even though it is possible. So we'll go, let's see, advanced auto. It's a bit more luxurious. So we could go with an advanced automatic 5-speed or a automatic. You know, it's a hard decision, but I think I'm going to go with a slush box. Yeah. It is granted more of a luxury car, so having a slush box on this is different from having one on a Honda Civic. It wouldn't really suit a Honda Civic, but this it will. It doesn't have to be the most responsive transmission in the world. We'll start with 205 tyres. Again, I believe they're the same I had on the Chariot of old, but times are changing. 18-inch wheels are massive for the time. Far bigger than they would need to be. 16s are probably about realistic, given the type of vehicle and the year it comes from. So we're going to put them on. We want something that looks just suitably late 90s. I guess they could work. But do they look late 90s? I don't know. They don't look luxurious, but they certainly match up with the era. So they are an option, I guess. Ooh, how about them? Now, I think they're a bit too 80s, personally. We can have invisible wheels. Ooh, look at those ones. Nissan wheels. You know what? They're the ones I'm going with. 300ZX wheels. They work surprisingly well. I'm going to go with drum brakes on the back if I can. Yes, I know it's a more luxurious car, but it's not something that the buyer's ever going to see, so I could probably pull it off. We want a fully clad under tray, unless it proves to be detrimental to economy, which it has on occasion proven to be before. We want a premium interior, naturally, with premium CD. We don't want a cassette player, even though they would have been a relevant technology at the time. You know, it's a brand new car for 1997. Times will have been moving towards CD players back then. We'll go with variable hydraulic, I think. A bit too early for electric steering. And it is a nicer technology than hydraulic. It's just still in that era where American cars were very soft and comfort orientated. It was before they became sporty. We notice that trend begins with cars such as the Cadillac CTS and the CTS V, where they just started becoming really quite sporty. Whereas this car, this is like the generation before that, before they became sporty. But it's after the generation where they abandoned body on frame. It's a very interesting kind of middle point for these cars. So, we don't want crazy fancy suspension. It comes up as a pony car, not sure about that. We want it to be in some kind of family category. So, let's go and let's see family utility for now, maybe. No. Premium budget, okay. Premium budget is much more where we're gunning for. Yep, that makes sense. They want comfort over normal, which makes perfect sense. You have to remember what this is, where it's from, the era, the time, all that. I've got to lower it. I've just got to lower it a bit because it doesn't look right at all, riding as tall as it did. 286. There we go. I think these struts are probably quite realistic as far as front suspension goes. The back, I really don't know. I might want to upgrade that. Anyway, let's see. 60% front. The weight balance is good, as is the weight. 1490 kilos. It's exactly what I would expect from this kind of vehicle, from this kind of era. So far, I've not done too bad, as is the power as well. I know there's some kind of Buick, and I think it might have made more power than this, but then it was supercharged, so go figure, you know. How much miles per gallon? We're making pretty weak miles per gallon, but granted it is a decently powerful V6. And as we change the gear ratios, things have got a little better. How is this going so fast? Fist? No, fast. But then I would have said the exact same thing about the BCC Chariot. That just found speed from who knows where. 8.6. 8.3. It does get pace, though. So we're doing 30 miles per gallon, which for any V6 doesn't seem too bad. I believe that's UK miles per gallon as well. So the engine, it is reasonably efficient. 8.3 seconds, remember, this is the late 90s. So that is not a particularly slow running. It gets going, in other words. Maybe I could make these a bit smaller. Depends. Is it complaining about grip? No. No complaints about grip. So I can make them to 195s. And indeed, it does have its complaints, but better miles per gallon. Who can complain about that, eh? 117. They'll have those. Well, call me crazy. 117.6. Call me crazy, but I believe, honestly, I can make those smaller if they're willing to accept better tyres, because medium compound 185 should match hard compound 195s, although I wouldn't want to go any smaller than 185s, because it doesn't seem like something that would realistically happen. These are definitely some more economical tyres. They're not the most performance orientated tyres, and so it wouldn't be. You have to remember exactly what this vehicle is. So 15 there. There we go. We do want to get an interior on this. That's the thing. So I'm going to do that now, if I can. I could put a crack on the window, you know. Sure, because, you know, by the time this car would find its way... By the time this car would find its way to the modern age, it's very easy it could have, like, fallen down on the upkeep and such. It's just... my PC does not like this crack. Come on. Maybe if I use the other way of positioning it. Come on. Also, need to make it smaller. Come on. Smaller you go. As I say, if it's lacking upkeep... imagine if I made it cracked very symmetrically on each side. That would be an interesting ordeal. Okay, you can go... you can rest like so. That is an awfully big crack. It's not what I would like in my car, but, you know, someone smashes your window and you can't get it repaired because you didn't buy insurance or whatever, because it's expensive. Anyway, it's got a crack. Not got a crack from the inside, it's only got a crack from the outside. You can see the V6 in there. Yeah, this Saab body does have its oddities, but sometimes you just have to deal with that because it's the way things are. Now, there's these dashboards, but there's one that's kind of more modern. As a matter of fact, with the way things are going, I'm just going to have to abandon that dashboard. It's just not working in the slightest. I believe there's one of these, and it has kind of bits on it that curve. I'm not sure which one it was. Was it this one? Nope. I just mean the edges, they weren't so sharp. So, here we go. I'm not sure what this actual dash is out of. It can probably work, though. It looks like it's out of some 80s or 90s French car. There we are. So it's tilted a bit too much, but I am getting here now. There we are. So it's far from ideal, but at least the dash layout somewhat makes sense. At least it somewhat has a point for being as it is. I think if I have a bit of a lip thingy-me-boy here, that might work as well. There's only so much I can do, though, within the course of however much time we have. So, we are going to have to go find the seats next up. Where with the seats, we're going to have some nice plush ones. We could have like a really grey interior. I mean, that's a 90s thing, so it wouldn't be going completely out of place here. Mirror the seats, because we want them socially distance the seats. The seats must not remain too close. Yeah, what you gonna do if I put my seats too close to each other? I've gone insane. Well, when didn't I go insane? I went insane before this whole thing started. So yeah, the government's measures have nothing on me. There we go. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think for the back seat, I have a really lazy way of getting this to work. And I have made the seats fatter. It matches the type of vehicle they are residing within. These cars typically do not have bucket seats. I mean, I would be surprised if you can find me a old American boat which does have bucket seats, because it just isn't something they did. Yes, as I say, there's a Cadillac CTS. That's not an American boat, though, is it? The American boats, like the body-on-frame ones, and then this is essentially a successor for those vehicles. But it tries so hard to be advanced. You know, the Americans are just trying to compete with other countries. And this is what they came up with. Still, we're going to need a interior colour, so what colours can we go with? We could go with some cloth. As I say, I think grey. If I go with a very dark grey, that's a bit too dark. I think it needs to be leather or vinyl or something. So we want leather, but dark grey leather if we can have. Or that's the kind of stuff we need. Yes. We'll go with on car. And this on car. that's the kind of grey leather you would expect, I think, from a 90s car. If you look at, say, a Lexus LS 400 as such an example. And I know that's far from ideal, but I'm trying to just throw this interior together so we have something. Yeah, that does interfere with itself, but if I do this... There we go. That's going to have to do. Call it suboptimal all you want. It's vaguely together. And I think when I get the dash sorted vaguely, and this bit here, I think I'm going to call that it for the interior. Yes, it's going to be thrown together. Yes, it's going to be far from complete. But I think if I darken the windows a bit, I can kind of get it working just enough to save a whole lot more, work than I should have to do on just a video car. You know, because if it's one of my personal projects, I don't mind spending ages on it, but if I'm just doing something for a video, then why bother? We'll make this 3D. There we go. I think if I make it a bit flatter. The bulbous boot lid sticking up above it. Well, is that going to do it? Probably not. Come on. I'm losing touch. That'll do. You see, yes, bits don't line up, but they line up just about well enough that you get the idea of the look I was going for. I think this dash, I'll try and make the materials largely the same as my seats to give it the impression it's a leather-coated dashboard, so to speak. Well, they could be plastic. Certain bits could be plastic. But I've not given it plastic. I've just thought, actually, the window trim should be chrome. Oh dear. Only not chrome, but I mean... aluminium, there we go. Things are a bit more subtle on modern cars. They're not quite as glossy chrome as they were before. I don't know. I kind of messed up my interior. There we go. That actually does work. Although, there's only so much chrome I would want. Or not chrome, but stainless steel. But whatever. There's only so much I would want on a car. So that will have to match that. Just the vent matching the steering wheel, I mean. Wait a minute. How did I get another dashboard glued to the side? I don't want to know, actually. It's too much absurdity for my particular tastes. That'll do. That'll do the job. Now we need to go on off front lips, and then on off front lips we can sort this out. So when we've got this on, we can go put our kind of grey leather stuff on that I've very conveniently sorted there. 3D this, and we should just be able to drop that right in place like so. It was never going to be that easy. Anyway, spread that out. We've not got this correct, have we? That's my fault, but still, I like blaming other people for my mistakes. Right, so it looks like we could maybe... Nope, I'm not getting that working any better. I would love to, but it's just more time than is worth. Okay, so having given this some thought, I'm going to consider other suspensions. And indeed, live axle lever isn't that good. I expected that. I wonder, torsion beam and double wishbone. What a bizarre combination, but it might work. You know? Again, it's front wheel drive, so the front is put under pressure, not the rear. How does the engine fit? Yeah, there's a bit of struggle for length. Just to make sure that's completely alleviated, I'm going to put struts on there. That is something that can't really be changed or avoided. I could go with double wishbone or multi-link on the back. To be honest, they do like multi-link, and I'm not giving it air suspension or anything, but for what it is still a more prestigious vehicle. So how does the chassis react? I mean, they still want that, okay. That is bizarre. Now I go for a very high-end cassette system. I know that's unrealistic. A very, very high-end cassette system, luxury cassette, will actually work better than premium CD. And it's cheaper as well. But premium CD doesn't. You know what? It's just hard decisions. Hard decisions, but luxury cassette is going to work. There we are. Flip this the other way up. I know, I'm not going to spend a load of time on this. Not when I don't need to. So it's going to have a neglected design. Yeah, that's the design language we're going with, just if you didn't know. Neglected design. So, indicators. They can go down here, surely. We'll go rotate you. There we are. Blue. I don't know where I'm supposed to be mounting these. Yeah, I can put my words together someday. Let's hope. Still, where the outside bits, put the window trim on there. Same here. So there we have silver maybe. Do we want that or do we want chrome? I think yeah. Silver, not chrome. We're trying to be classy. We're trying so hard here. We're failing at it, but we are trying. Headlights. Right, so... what can we have that's suitably late 90s? We don't want it to be too aggressive. That would not suit this type of vehicle. There we go. I've somehow found some aggressive headlights and made them not aggressive. I don't know how I've done that. That still looks kind of aggressive. I think they are too big though. I'm not building a third generation MR2, so we don't need stupid headlights. Stupid big headlights. Alright. V6, the perfect badge. It's got the right kind of era to it. Era air to it as well. Yeah, we have to let everybody know you have the best car in the world. Well, maybe not. It's got a V6, not a V8. Meaning the Americans will go and laugh at you, but still, that V6 badge is inverted. What do I care? So we want to unmirror it. It is a V6. That's all we know. We need another grille though. We need a top grille. And a number plate. So this has apparently been exported to Uruguay. I don't know why it's been exported to Uruguay. But apparently it has been. So it's probably best we don't ask questions. That's how people get hurt. Just saying. Has it been illegally exported to Uruguay? I don't know. Maybe it has been. Maybe it's been legal. I don't know. We did not have anything to do with the exporting process, though. Obviously. Not a legitimate company like BCC. Who never do anything wrong. Yeah. It's all kind of bent out of shape, that's to be sure of. I mean, I'm throwing this design together. I've had to try and fit the interior in, remember? in like, the amount of time as well. I could normally spend a crazy amount of time on the car, but when you have to design the interior as well, and I'll try and time it so it doesn't take absurdly long. Alright, so hopefully I can line this up. You can go. Right. That's not perfect. You can kind of see that sticking out, but I think it's subtle enough that it works reasonably well. You know what? I'm going to put this on. This is our company logo now, as I've just decided. This is everything we stand for in a logo. Unfortunately, I can't change the colour. If I could make it black, it would probably stand out a bit more. But you know what? I'm doing what I can to make this a solid vehicle. I actually feel this may be quick, though. In entire honesty, I feel this may be a very, very fast vehicle around the test circuit. It's not what you would think. It really isn't what you would think is quick, but it has the right combination of factors, you know? It's just a front-wheel drive car, decent amount of power to it, decent turn of pace through the gears. It shouldn't have anything particularly opposing it. The number of gears, it's decent enough. How many lights do we have at work, I wonder? You know, these stand out to me as ones that might work. Flip those upside down. I'm using upside down lights a lot on this. But they seem to just work with this body for some reason. Rotate. I think they're a bit too far on the inner side of the car. Move them out if I can. Move that up. They'll work. You know what? No, we could put the badge there. I'm going to use a perhaps familiar design feature if you have been to this channel before. So we're going to get some of these, paint them the same colour as the window trim, and we're going to put them right across there like so. It's not something I do on every car, but I find it ties the cars together quite nicely, actually. So we need to... Nope, we don't... what am I doing? I've got a clone of it there anyway. That'll work. Even if I didn't quite intend to do it that way. So there we go. What do we do with this space? Well, we fill it up. We fill it up with another piece. But this is not going to be the same as the other pieces. Not quite, at least. It's going to be slightly different. We are going to go and make that kind of plasticky. There you go. So, naturally you'll see, it is not pretty. But it's a car that I think is reflective of the era reasonably well. It's supposed to be more American. Have I reflected that? Most likely not. It's got a front lip. It hasn't got a spoiler. You know what? It's not a sports car, but I might go with a dual exhaust. I've already put the wing on, after all. Oh, I could just go with the middle. The thing is, the classic middle exhaust, when you don't know what to do, you just send it right through the middle. Save a little money. There we are. It's just I would have to change the engine setup if I went with dual exhausts, whereas doing that, well, that works. You see, it goes straight through to the back of the car. No issues, no problems. Joins right up like that. And we also have less mufflers. Again, a way to save money, a way to save weight. All in all, mainly advantages, even if there's a tiny bit of power to be gained by dual exhausts. It's like, some people won't like having fake exhausts as well. This is a good, how would you say it? It's a good alternative. So you're not using fake exhausts, but you're not having to go with the disadvantages of a dual exhaust setup. We have to now adjust our ratios, I think. Oh, no, we need mirrors. How could I forget this? Well, it's not too late at least. We need mirrors and turn signals. If I can get both in one, that would be good. So, they're truck mirrors. But I wonder. My company is strange. I know. Still, there we go. Try flipping those. Honestly, I can't be bothered adding indicators. That's why I'm getting mirrors with them already included. That is the entire reason. I could go with some silver there. But I don't know. I think if I go with silver on the actual mirror itself, I think that works better personally because it kind of works with the design. It's like that is holding it out to the silver on the car itself. Oh my. That is actually... Yeah. It was kind of extended in the wrong way. So, it is a truck mirror, I think, but I've kind of reshaped it and formed it into a car mirror. That is not how you're meant to use it, but I don't care. Anyway, we've got what we needed to get. Right, what was I saying? The aero. We've now got too much. We have front aero. I'm pleased for that. It's just the rear aero is significantly too much. There we go. So if we try making this now significantly higher, front aero lower, I want to make it so it's just about not creating any front lift. So try bringing that up to about 13. There we go. We're getting somewhere. So where are we? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where is this? 8.22. Okay, 1, 2. And then we'll go to 28. We should be bringing this quite close now by just fine adjustments. Indeed, slight amount of downforce on the rear of this car. I can't adjust the downforce via the under tray because there is no under tray that supports downforce. So I'm going to have to bring this back to the front and rear wing and lips and whatever I have going on. So it's actually 59.6 front, so it's only just about 60% front. This weight balance is good. We've got to try maybe make this 26, and then I think we'll be about where we want to be. No, we are not. Maybe if I go slightly less. Otherwise, I'll have to just go back to where I was. Ooh, that's interesting. It'll lift. You know what? That isn't too bad, but it's hard to say. I don't want that lift, but I'm far more likely to get away with it. And it's not a particularly high-speed car. So I think I'll just settle with virtually no downforce on the back and a bit of lift on the front. I can only think to call it the Biter because it's front wheel drive and it's supposed to be like grippy. Yeah. Look, it's a dreadful name, but I at least came up with a name when I didn't have much time. Sometimes I don't even remember to come up with a name. Anyway, let's take this to Beam and see how it does. Okay, so here I am, and there doesn't seem to be any way of getting engine sound out of this, unfortunately. You'll see the 185s do spin up, though. That's the 8.2 second time for you. Need to spin the wheels to get there. It's very softly sprung. I immediately noticed that it was very softly sprung, and hopefully that does help. I mean, it is floating, and there doesn't seem to be any engine noise. Granted, I did put a silent exhaust on this, but I didn't expect it to be this effective. I don't think it's been this effective before on cars, for example. It feels like overall it is quick though, I must say. But understeery. A bit understeery. Not the worst understeer in the world, but it definitely has some understeer to it. Oh, a bit of a lift there, just so I don't hit the wall. It drives like a bow, and that is exactly what I was going for, truth be told. Slow down, just brake up just before I hit that jump, actually. And it turned out to be early enough, surprisingly enough. Come on. You hear the wheel spin. It's not as intimidating as it might sound. It's just because there's no engine to hide that wheel spin. Because, well, it appears so silent. I don't know how this engine is so refined. It's a V6. It shouldn't have an inherent balance to it. Unless it's just beams playing up. I almost called it Forza. Come on. I would say I'm expecting great things from it, but I'm not. You see, I almost flew into a wall there, but it just about had enough turning to make it out. Well, it's done a 55. I'm sure it's capable of something. Slowed there a bit earlier than before because it could, I feel, get more speed. I did a bit of a cheeky shortcut and, again, kind of cutting the corners just a bit. Ooh! That was incredibly well done. Far better than I had any right to, and then I kind of threw it away by going wide, although I am still carrying some speed through it all, remember? Oh dearie me, I don't know why, but I can't quite keep this under control. I say that, it's on 185s. As if it's a sports car, it should go quick, and it is going quicker each lap. You must remember, so even though it may appear like I'm not able to harness the 212 or so horsepower, it feels like at the same time I am harnessing that power, just I don't realise it. Wait, slow here. Leap there. Yep, take a good old leap of faith. Use the power to try and correct the car. This gearbox is not bad at all. For what was supposed to be a slush box, I was expecting far worse performance, I must say. And there is the understeer. Biting me, as it is called the biter after all. Ow. Come on, how quick is this? We're basically bouncing off the walls at times. It's quick, but it's not mega quick. Come on, slow, and turn. Take a sharp turn. Really hoping to hold this together. I just hear those tyres cry in pain. How are you staying on your wheels, car? If that's a quick time, I don't know what I'll say, because that should have thrown the entire run away, the way I threw it around that corner. A bit gently around here, because otherwise I'll just go wide. You can floor it though at times around corners, so for something with an open differential, it really does have some potential. Floor it here on the way to the line, and it's not our quickest time. Our quickest time was a 54.215, and if I just check for leaderboard, that actually puts us between the Micro Shipper RS and the Night Fox Woody Wagon. So, hey, we've beaten a car with 2 gears. It's at least saved from that embarrassment, but we were beaten by a van. So, make of that what you will. At the same time, though, I could argue this was never intended as a sports car. The van that beat it had sporting intent from the very beginning, so yes, it's lost out to that, but you have to consider what these vehicles both are, as I just show you here. Just look at how it's bouncing around. It's trying so hard to be comfortable. it doesn't want the owner to do this. It's basically torment, in fact. It's even got McPherson's strut on the front, so it's not exactly meant as a demo derby vehicle. It's not got a rugged suspension for it. Whee! But how can't you, how can you resist throwing it about when it's got such an agility to it that you just don't expect? It has beaten the TAFE Cub, that had 40 horsepower though, so well, what do you expect? It's in that kind of middle part of the leaderboard. It's not a supercar, definitely not. But at the same time, it's not like a super slow little hatchback. It does have potential. Just nowhere near as much potential as I'd perhaps expected from it. Anyway, with that being said and done, I'm going to leave it here for today and say it has also got a crack on the window, much like the van. So goodbye until another day.